Good evening, everyone. We'll just sit still for a few minutes and wait for everyone to show up. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Venerable. It seems like it was just yesterday that we had an English class.
Correct.
In fact, yeah, it was only 2 weeks ago. Okay, so quickly, let's get into our Tuesday session. Our first Tuesday of the month is our English section. So Venerable De Hong will be leading us in is it meditation first?
No, talk
it's
first.
Dharma talk first, and then the meditation. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Let me bring my file up. I hope you guys are well wherever you are. 2 weeks ago, when at the start of the talk, I was speaking of how we can do some breathing to ease our anxiety. And so to continue a bit of that, I just want to show you guys this image. It basically shows our nervous system on my right hand side, where you see the sympathetic nervous system, and then to the left of the screen is the parasympathetic nervous system. What this shows is that when our sympathetic nervous system is triggered, meaning that when we get angry or when we feel anxious or upset, then it affects the different parts. It does, not just our nervous system, but also our internal organs. I hope you can see the small characters, but I will read it anyway. And so it can affect your pupil, the dilation, saliva, inhibition, the airways, dilation, basically our lungs, your heart, because your heartbeat is faster, digestion, inhibition, liver, intestine, the adrenal glands, bladder, and reproductive system. So that's what happened when we get triggered. Now, when we breathe or when we're able to calm down, then we can bring our nervous system to rest, or what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. Similarly, it affects most of the same organs, except that when in the parasympathetic nervous system, it does also have a positive effect on our gallbladder. What I'm trying to say is that when you get triggered, when you become anxious or worried, try to do some breathing. The breath works, that whatever that works for you, it can help put your nervous system into the flow state. And perhaps next year I will cover a book titled Mind Magic that Dr. James Doty would be talking about this. But my point is that when we get angry, even it can affect our lung and liver. And I have a lot of cases of people, and let me show you one. This person, I have, I like to protect his privacy. I'll just say, here his name is Charles. He was incarcerated for 24 years. And after he was released, that was back in October of 2021, he was within a year he was diagnosed with lung cancer, liver cancer, and brain cancer. And then he died 6 months later. I My point is that inside the prison you couldn't smoke. So how could he have lung cancer? I don't know, because his mom is still alive. She will turn 90 in January of 2026. His dad just passed away a few months ago. Um, and he didn't, for 24 years inside the prison. I don't think he could drink, even though folks inside the prison, they could make their own alcohol. And brain cancer, then we can't say much about it because it could happen to anyone. So and after I spoke to his mom after he died. I spoke to his mom because before, when he was released, he was 6'2", 200 pounds. There was not even a bit of fat on him. And I spoke to his mom, and she said that when he was young, probably a teenager, and she was working, and his dad was home, and he complained to his mom that his dad was using a metal pipe hitting him quite a few times. So in a way, you can look at that as one of the ACEs, adverse childhood experience, that was physical abuse, and they were probably arguing, so that was verbal abuse. So in a sense, he had a lot of anger that he had to suppress. And once he finished high school, and eventually he moved to California after. So I don't know his lifestyle at the time. And I know that for sure inside the prison, he was trying to help people. So he may have a lot of run-in with folks working in the prison. So he may have a lot of anger that he also had to suppress. And that could, in a sense, affect his internal organs. So basically, that is considered stress in a sense. And so I have another case where this lady, she was having a tough time with she passed away, with her husband, with couple people that she had to work with. And then before that, she had intestine cancer. And she was cured. It came back couple years later. And then she continued to have to work with the stress of with her husband and other people because she confined with me. And then her son died, so that her cancer came back like 4 times, and then eventually she died a year ago. There are so many cases. My point is that if you feel stressed out, if you constantly get triggered, look into it, get help. See a medical doctor, see a therapist, so that you can bring your health back into a better state. Otherwise, it will when we accumulated all kinds of stress, it will show up one day in a form of cancer or some form of physical terminal illness or mental illness. That's what I want to say. The second point is, along with anxiety, is that, or when we worry about a lot of things, let's say in the current state of our country, in the state of the world, that we experience a lot of anxiety. We want things to change, or we want to change a lot of things or fix a lot of things, but it's impossible. We can't. So to help with that, one important Buddhist practice is equanimity. And what is equanimity? It's a state of mind, basically, that is unshakable, that we need to develop insight into the difficult issues in life and also of our nature in the face of uncertainty and chaos in the present days, or into the future, and but it's based on this vigilant presence of mind, and that we have to constantly remind ourselves to say, hey, come back to this present moment. We can't fix everything. We can't fix the world. We can't fix so many problems. So when we have that state of mind, then it can help us to meet all the severe tests, and that we are able to develop this mental strength from within. And the other thing that we also need to understand is that we all ex experience the result of our karma, or our actions that we have done in this life. So basically, this article was written by Nyan Naponika Terra back in 1994. So let's say if we have anxiety, or if we have certain fear, then we know that we can rely on our own good deeds, do good, speak kindly, and think positively. And that is the when we experience the result of our karma, then we are able to maintain the equanimity despite the hardship that we have to face in our current situation. And the other insight that we also have to be aware of, which I think I have spoken about this, is the teaching of not self. I think I did it probably last year or a year ago. I don't remember now. It's basically that we need to let go of the thinking that, oh, this is mine. If I did something bad, I am the one to blame. Then when that happens, then we cannot maintain that vigilant, unshakable state of mind. So if we make a mistake, we acknowledge that, accept the consequences, but we don't take it as this is me, this is mine. So what we need to be aware of is that that is not mine. So we need to give up all the thinking, the possessiveness of mind, because when we do that, it affects our peace of mind. We also need to let go of all these egoistic thoughts about the self, like what I own is mine, what I have is mine, my home, my wealth, all of this. Because if, let's say if the stock markets, right? If you have stocks or 401k, if the market drop by 8 to 10%, then hey, we cannot be at peace. So meaning that my point is that don't look at it as yours, and because that is only one day of the years that you have of the money that you have in stock. So let go of that. The other thing that I would say is that let go of your desire to control what you cannot control, your desire to change things and people that you cannot change. Let go of your expectation, let go of your want. And if you read about, if you read, books and writings from most of the psychologists and therapists, they kept saying, like Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, who wrote the book Nonviolent Communication, he said, do not ever try to change people. Even Dr. Paul Friday, that I spoke about 2 weeks ago, he also said, do not attempt to change people, because if we want people to change, if we expect people to change, then we lose our mind, we lose that equanimity. So the phrases that I use, that I didn't come up with this. I came up with some of it, but it's not mine. Like, may I accept things as they are? Let's say the current situation, the current state of the world. We have to accept it as it is. May I let people be for who they are, however people are, even your family, your relatives, even your kids, unless they are like little ones, then you can help them. But even teenagers, and people around you, you have to let them be. Don't try to change them, because if they don't change, then you lose your cool. You might become angry. You will be stressed out. Another phrase is that, may I not be disturbed by the coming and going of all events, no matter whatever events that are out there, we cannot control. So we have to maintain our cool. And then, may I realize the arising and ceasing of all phenomena. Let's say the weather, we have no control over that. COVID, we had no control over that. Let's say hurricane, right? Earthquake, all of this, we have no control. We need to have a deep understanding, and we need to accept that. We need to be prepared for it. And then lastly, may I be open, balanced, and peaceful. Is to remind ourselves to say, hey, stay calm, and allow things to play out, allow things to be, and let people be. And the final note is that we can change ourselves. We can try to work on our issues, but we cannot fix any issues in the world. It's not our job. We cannot change anyone. Let's say if you want to help people around you, then definitely you can, because that can ease your mind, that can ease your anxiety, and that's a little contribution that you can do. What you want to avoid is contribute negative energy or toxic emotion into your surrounding or into the universe. Okay, so that's what I would like to say about equanimity. And tonight, this is the last talk that I have on this book, Abundant, Immeasurable, or Exhausted, by Ajahn Pisano. So 2 weeks ago, I was speaking of skillful thinking, meaning that we don't have time to waste. Each day that passes by, don't be complacent. We have to be diligent in terms of our practice. And tonight, hopefully I have in 10 minutes, I have enough time to speak of how the loving kindness, how it affects our karma. So I might, because we only have 10 minutes left, so I might skip some of the slides. I want to get to the point. The one thing on here is that there was a sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya 1096. There was a conversation between Ananda and a wanderer, and basically the guy asked Ananda, what view do you have, like the world eternal, this what is your view? And Ananda said, I don't hold that view. I don't have such view. And the thing is that are if we are trapped by views, then it affects our practice. So you want when you run into people with this kind of question is don't waste your time to explain yourself. The thing is, because Ajahn Pasano said when we take on a view, it's the basis for contention and conflict, period. And the other thing is that one of the underlying principles of Dharma and the active application of loving kindness is that the Buddha pointed to is the aspect of letting go, relinquishing, putting down. Let go, if you feel angry, this and that, let it go. Even especially in terms of interacting with people, including family, even if you're right, if you still feel angry or irritated, work on it. And also there was another conversation between Moggallana and the Buddha. And Moggallana asked, what's the teaching, what's the basis? And then the Buddha basically said, all dharmas are not to be clung to. Basically, all the Buddha's teaching don't attach to any of that. Even in my view, also, even if people are, let's say, if anyone were to attack the Buddha's teaching, I just let them be. They can do whatever they want because it's their wrong view, it's their misperception. We don't have to defend the Buddha's teaching. In that context, when you deal with deluded individuals. The other thing that he also brought up is Ajahn Chah. Ajahn Chah, as you guys know, he was a great teacher, especially for a lot of Americans and Europeans. And he said, someone asked him, what seems to have made the difference to you? And he said, I always wanted to find an end to things. And until he found it. Also, one time there was a palm reader or an astrologer who came to see him and they looked at his palm. And, he said, oh, am I going to win the lottery? Because palm reading, I think that's pretty much in any culture, and it's quite, it happened a lot in the Asian culture. But the palm reader looked at his palm and said, you have a lot of anger. We're looking at the lines. And he said, well, but I don't use it, right? He knew that he would have anger, but he wouldn't react to it. But actually, speaking of that, Ajahn Pasano brought up an incident where there was I believe, a novice who came and pick up the kettle and and drink directly from the kettle instead of pouring it into the cup. And Ajahn Chah was upset. He basically lost it. He get up and trying to beat that little novice. And as he chased the guy, and then it dawned on him. It dawned on him like, what was I doing? And then he realized that he lost it. So he went back to his hut and he stayed inside for 3 days. And so basically he sat with his anger, and he didn't come out for food or anything. I guess he was fasting then. And then what did he realize? That this is painful, this is suffering. I have got to deal with it. So if you've noticed that, even if you are right, you want to work with that anger, you want to sit with it, so that because it causes you suffering directly. So Ajahn Pasano said basically wise teacher and compassionate teacher, they are not just born that way. They are trained, they worked on it, they run into conflicts, and that's how they become wise. They need to realize that, oh, this is suffering. So here's a bit of the sutta reading on loving kindness. So basically, at one point, there were a lot of monks that who were arguing. So the Buddha was like, uh, you know, actually, in one point here, he gave a talk on the 6 principles of living in harmony. And here they are: loving kindness in art, speech, thought, sharing with generosity, common virtue, and common view. And also, when the Buddha perceived that if anyone who wouldn't be easy to talk to or admonish, he would not waste his time. So he told us, or the bhikkhus at the time, that we shall be easy to admonish, and make ourselves easy to admonish, because we honor, respect, and revere the Dharma. It's not easy. And also our mind remain unaffected, and we shall utter no evil words. That's how we should train ourselves. We should train our mind to dwell in loving kindness. And the Buddha, Ajahn Pasanno said, the result of anger, ill will, and any kind of violence will result in unfortunate birth, meaning we could be, upon death, we could be reborn into hell, animal, or hungry ghost. So we need to develop our mind and to be filled with loving kindness. And here's a bit on the karma. And the Buddha basically said, I do not say that there is a termination of volitional karma that has been done and accumulated so long as one has not experienced its results. And that may be in this very life, or in the next life, or on subsequent occasion. I want to go to directly right here is that any bhikkhu who is devoid of longing, meaning no longing, no ill will, unconfused, with clear comprehension and mindful in all 4 quarters, and then also that when he dwells in pervading the entire world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, and here that the Buddha taught us that we need to understand this. Previously, my mind was limited and undeveloped, but now it is measureless and well developed. No measurable karma remains and persisted. This is my point. Basically, when our mind is imbued with loving kindness, we basically achieve enlightenment. The karmic potential of that attainment will take precedence over any other karma and generate fortunate results and rebirth. Except, let's say, when there is heavy karma, like heavy or unskillful karma, for example, taking the life of parents or killing an arhat. These are heavy karma. However, on the skillful side, with the practice of loving kindness, we can attain stream entry. They are heavy karma because they take precedence over other forms of karma, meaning the practice of loving kindness can help us to achieve enlightenment. And also, people who practice loving kindness, they have these 11 fruits, One is sleep well. When they wake up happy. They don't have bad dreams. They are pleased to other people. They are pleased to the spirits around them. Deities protect them. Fire, poison, weapons do not injure them. And that they can quickly concentrate when they meditate, and their complexion is serene and they die unconfused. And even if they do not penetrate further, they fell onto the Brahma world. So these are the 11 benefits from the practice of loving kindness. Basically, when you practice loving kindness diligently, properly, you can it can lead to enlightenment, basically becoming an arhat. And that is my talk. So let's continue with meditation. So let's take your posture, whether you are sitting or lying down or standing. Let's start with some deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. When you breathe in, make sure that you breathe in all the way down to your belly, and also breathe out from your belly. It is one way to relax your body. Or you can breathe in counting 1 to 6, pause counting 1 to 4, breathe out counting 1 to 6. That can help to reduce your anxiety. So whatever technique that works for you, go ahead and do it. Once you're done, then breathe normally through your nose. Allow your body to settle. Feel the contact between your posture and the surface that you are either sitting, standing, or lying down. Start with a smile. Notice how you feel and how that feeling affects your body, meaning the physiological sensations. Notice that the feeling, the sensations are changing, fading away. What do you feel next? Let's continue with the sense or practice. First, noticing your environment, the space around your body, the room temperature. Use your body to feel the room temperature, but not your mind to make the judgment or any comments. With your awareness, let's check in with your mind, see how your mind is, whether it is busy or clear and settled. Is your mind wandering away, or is it with the breath? Your feeling, your emotion, your mood, your attitude. See how they are. Then notice what you can hear in this very moment or in the moments that follow. your sense of seeing, smell, and taste. These three senses during meditation are not active since there isn't anything to trigger them. Then your sense of touch in the body. Notice how the clothes that you wear feel on your body, and any sensation or tension throughout your body. The sensual practice helps you to stay grounded and centered, that you can do anytime, anywhere. So you don't get distracted easily or feel overwhelmed when you're being triggered. Let's bring your awareness to the breath. Let's practice concentration by just being with the breath, the in-breath and the out-breath. Notice the sensations at your nostrils as air comes in and out. If you cannot focus on the breath, you can repeat a mantra or prayer, or you can count your breath. You can start with 1 for each in-breath and out-breath, go to 5, and then reverse from 5 back to 1. You will notice thoughts coming up, but with your mindfulness, you choose not to react to them, any of them. And you stay with the breath, or the counting, or the mantra. When your mind wanders away, when you realize that, just patiently bring it back to the breath. No need to judge yourself. Just come back to the breath. Images of your loved ones, if they come up, put them aside. No need to interact with them. Just stay with the breath. Or sometimes if it's easier, when you breathe in, you can say in. When you breathe out, you can say out quietly. Or you can use the word Butto. Breathe in, you say But. Breathe out, you can say To, Butto. This is another technique to develop concentration. No matter how busy the mind is with so many thoughts, you choose to ignore them. You stay with the breath. That's concentration. If you accidentally follow one of the thoughts, it's okay. Bring the mind back to the breath. Let's move on and practice loving kindness, still grounding your awareness with the breath. Loving kindness is your ability to embrace all parts of yourself and also of the world. And sending thoughts of goodwill to yourself and others is a wish for happiness. And this is a mental training of the mind. So as you are sitting, you can repeat some of the following phrases. May I be well, happy, peaceful, and prosperous. May no harm come to me, no difficulties, no problems. May I always meet with spiritual success. May I have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. Just keep repeating those phrases to develop loving kindness for yourself. And you can pause and pay attention to how you feel and how your feeling affects the body as you practice loving kindness for yourself. If you experience a lot of anger, I would add this phrase, may I let go of any anger, ill will, resentment, and hatred. Is a reminder for yourself to let go of any anger or hatred if you have any. Sometimes we forget, we think that it's normal, it's okay to hold anger and hatred in our mind, but it's not. And it takes practice, it takes reminders for us to let go. It also helps to smile as you practice this. Let's sit in silence for a couple minutes. Just continue to offer yourself loving kindness. Let's check in with your mind, see how settled it is, how clear it is, more focused. Your feeling, your emotion, your mood, your attitude. They are under control when you are more mindful. Notice your body, your posture, and the qualities of mindfulness, concentration, patience, and loving kindness that you just cultivated. With that, I'll hand it over to Denny. Thank you.
Yeah, so since you talk about the importance of deep breathing, for the last 2 weeks, I just keep seeing a lot of articles. I keep seeing a lot of articles about how the health benefit of deep breathing, or what's called abdominal breathing, and a lot of times from the people who practice Tai Chi, because that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
And so, but what I find is that most people who talk about deep breathing, they just basically want you to breathe deeper. Just like take a deep breath, right? I think taking a deep breath actually helps. But if you're not careful, you actually cause more anxiety.
Yeah, you do it like within for like couple minutes only.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. So in fact, some students that on the video that I have seen, some of the people who practice deep breath actually says that it causes them headache, and because
Correct.
they're taking too deep of a breath.
Mhm.
But I think deep breathing actually need to be explained a little bit better, which is that it's actually deep breathing, but it's breathing using your diaphragm, and not because the lung itself have no muscle. So you have to use some kind of muscle to actually get air into your lung. And most people now, they use the muscle that's in the chest and in the shoulder, and that's actually that causes a lot of stress. And so
Yeah.
when people who teaches deep breathing, whether they're yogis or they're Taoists, they actually are talking about using their diaphragm, and practicing using the diaphragm so that they remove dependence of the shoulder muscle. And then that's a special training. That's a special training. The diaphragm tends to get very stiff if you are under stress. So before deep breathing, you actually have to learn to reduce your stress at the same time. And the, as I was thinking about that, there are others, but there are two main reasons people are under so much stress these days. One is that they think that multitasking is a natural behavior.
No.
Multitasking is actually an unnatural behavior. And so we talk about mindfulness. So another way of thinking mindfulness is that it's unitasking, not multitasking, right? You need to kind of focus your mind either on your breath or on your body
Correct.
or somewhere, and not try to do two things at the same time,
Correct.
because it cannot be done. The mind cannot handle more than one thing at a time. It doesn't work that way. And so you're not really doing multitasking as you are actually doing time sharing. So you're just kind of breaking up your attention into little pieces, and you're either here or there or here and there. And I think that's a big source of stress, big source of anxiety, is
Correct.
that you're not able to you anchor your mind somewhere. And so that's why more and more young people are now suffering from anxieties, and even depression. Is
Correct.
that we never taught them that basic survival skill, which is called unit testing.
Mm-hmm.
Because nowadays everybody talk about multitasking. You got to be more efficient. You got to be,
Sure.
and so I think that's one of the reasons. And then the other reason is expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Expectation on that other people put on you, and expectation that you put on yourself.
Correct.
You know, and that's because we taught kids from the early days, proper behavior, and especially among Asian parents, we tend to focus on optimizing them for a particular career. So their whole
Academics.
life, yeah, the whole life is really training, professional
Mm-hmm.
training. It's like being in a, yeah, we just want to train them to be a doctor or a lawyer or engineer, so
Correct.
whatever it is that can get a steady paycheck. That's the whole point of parenting now, as opposed to really being part of the growth and being their companion as they explore the world, and
Mm-hmm.
teaching them the ability to do independent thinking. We do none of that.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that you're putting them, you're raising them for expectation, with expectation. So over time, they expect certain behavior out of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get to college, then they still live with expectation, but now expectation of the peer. That's a very dangerous way of raising child.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I want to make it simpler, just start teaching your kids how to do unit tasks and not multitask.
Yeah.
Have them concentrate one thing at a time. And so I was talking about this morning in the Cantonese class that I have two kids. They're in their 30s now, but back in the days when they were younger, and we just started to have video games. And my wife would talk about how, don't let them spend too much time on video games. I was
Yeah.
doing the opposite. I
Mm-hmm.
was actually saying, okay, now you're going to play video games. Now concentrate on the video game, one thing at a time. And when you get done, and the problem with kids is that it's only when you don't get them, when you don't allow them to do something, that something becomes very attached to them, becomes very attractive to them. It becomes
They
a drug.
crave. They crave
They
for
they
it.
crave for it. But if you just say, "Oh, go for it," but now remember, one thing at a time. So when you
Mm-hmm.
play games, concentrate on that. And that way, when you have to do your homework, concentrate on that.
Yeah.
Unit testing. And then also the other thing is, try to. You do have to give them some idea what it means to be a contributing adult, but at the same time, you have to give them room for independent thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
I really like back in many weeks ago in another English class, you talk about AI, artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the way you said it's not intelligence, it's just knowledge.
Correct.
It's just knowledge. It's curated knowledge.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
very biased.
It's
It can
very
be very
biased, yeah,
biased. Mm-hmm.
because it's based on what exists, and what exists is
Correct.
in the Western world anyway is
Or the
usually
Eastern world.
male dominated, white dominated.
Mm-hmm.
So it continue that with that bias.
Yeah.
Yeah. I start to play with AI. I start to play with Gemini, which is an AI app from Google, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just amazing. It amazes me.
Mm-hmm.
It amazes me that I would type in something, I would just ask this food, and then it just, especially when it comes with Buddhist teaching, and it amazes me that it can do such a good job both in English and in Chinese or any other language. It just, but those are the only two I know. It
Mm-hmm.
just amazes me how it does that. And so I was talking to my wife, and she said, "Well, how does it know that? How does it know that?" Well, I said, "Well, wait a minute. When you send a kid to kindergarten, they start learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, eventually they finish from elementary school and then high school and college, and then they might go to graduate school. And then they finally get a PhD. What exactly are they doing in school? They're just accumulating knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're doing. They're accumulating knowledge. And then they, when you ask them a question, they have to answer. And
Mm-hmm.
you think that, oh, they're so smart. They must be very intelligent. They're not intelligent. They're just knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? And then when you send them to the world, they don't know how to function. Sorry. They don't know how to function. And I said, you know why they don't know how to function? He says, I was a really good student. But that's because I figured out the trick. The trick is that you always listen to your teacher and you always try to understand what the teachers teach.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's a fair game. So the teacher teaches something and they don't teach it so that you don't understand. They actually teach it so you do understand. And so you have to pay attention. If you don't pay attention, you can never be a good student.
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing you have to do is that you don't fall behind, right? Because if you didn't understand yesterday's lecture, you're going to have a hard time understanding today's lecture.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two things you have to do. And then finally, when you get to the exam and the teacher asks you a question, it's a very simple problem because the teacher would never ask you a question about something that they didn't teach. It's not possible. So all you have to do is just focus on what you learned, the knowledge that was given to you, with the confidence that there is going to be an answer. No one's going to give you a question that has no answer.
Mm-hmm.
And once you find the answer based on your memory of what was taught, then you also have the confidence that the answer is unique. Well, guess what? When you get to the outside world, none of that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you get into the real world, none of that is true. Most of the time, there's no answer.
Yeah, you have to
And
figure
if
it out.
there's an answer, you have to figure it out. And then even when there is an answer, it might not be unique.
Mm-hmm.
There could be so many different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
And so that's why a person who spends his whole life accumulating knowledge doesn't have the intelligence. The two has nothing to do with another. So I really like what you said about AI has nothing to do with intelligence. It's just curated knowledge.
Just database,
Just
right?
database. And that's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we train people to do in college and even in because it's not about intelligence. It's not about independent thinking. It's just about accumulating knowledge.
And it's not wisdom.
But it's not wisdom. It's not intelligence. So guess what? Guess what? We're now being confronted with a new world where knowledge is going to be a commodity. Right?
Well, look at the stock markets, right?
Yeah.
Trillions of
Anybody,
dollars.
yeah. I
Crazy.
can ask AI and says, what is Apple stock look like in the next 2 months? What does Apple stock look like in 2026? And it will give me an answer as good as anybody else.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, what that means is that if all you do is accumulate knowledge, this world is not going to be, it's not going to be enough. And what you really need to do is, so in other words, a simplest way to think about it is that IQ is not going to be enough.
Mm-hmm.
IQ is not intelligence. IQ is intelligence quotient. Guess what? It has nothing to do with intelligence either.
Mm-hmm.
It's just knowledge.
How much you know. Mm-hmm.
How much you know. So IQ is not going to be what help you in the world in the new world, right? It's EQ now. It's everything you just talked about. Is equanimity. It's compassion. It's
Loving kindness.
It's loving kindness. Those are the things that's going to help you in the future, right? So when you start working in the real world, it's not about answers anymore. Anybody can give you the right answer, as good as anybody. It's about asking questions now. It's about really knowing, it's about managing your own feeling. And once you manage your own feeling, then you start to really understand the world and react to the world and not react it to your own knowledge, right? So when you talk about um, the monk, the venerable, and someone says, "Oh, you're full of anger." Well, I'm full of anger too. So are you,
Yeah,
right?
but we don't react to it.
Well, we try not to. That's the whole point of our practice,
I
right?
can't.
Yeah, I mean, we try not to react to it, and why is it that we are capable of not reacting to it? Because we're so focused on understanding our body and how our body and our breath react to our emotion. And so our body and our breath becomes like the canary in the mind, right? And if there's poison gas in the mind, we don't know it. The miners don't know it, but the canary knows it. The canary died first, right? So if you keep your eye on the canaries, you say, hey, we have danger. There's danger, and so it's the same way with our practice. Is that the example you gave? Is that yeah? So what? I'm full of anger, but I don't react to. I know when it happens, so I don't follow it.
Yeah.
Right? I react to it. I confront it. But I don't react to it. I don't follow it. I don't make it worse than what it was already. And so I guess it's a long way of saying that, in a way, the only way to survive in the future, in this world where knowledge is commodity and anybody can curate knowledge, is not about knowledge itself. And it's really more about your your emotional, your ability to manage your own emotion and ability to react to other people's emotion, and then your ability to really survive in that. Right?
Yep.
It's not about the big brain anymore. That time is gone. Anybody can do that now. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, it was really good. I really like it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I need to check with
Joanne.
Dr. Park to see. I think she's in Taiwan right now from her Facebook post.
Yeah, she
And
should be
so,
back the end of this week. And she and I we spoke about that too for December. I think she'll be talking in December.
yeah. Now, does she give you a sense that she might continue in 2026, or did she was
We didn't
committed?
talk about it, so we can
You
ask
might
her.
want this. Yeah, I don't want her to get embarrassed if I ask her, and because she did commit to
This year.
2025. She might not for 2006, but we would be great if she could. Yeah, but
Yeah,
in any case, we look forward to her coming back in
correct.
the first Tuesday of December if she is available. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
So thank you everybody from outside on a different platform. I'm going to turn them off, and then we'll stay on.
Thank you, everyone.